All right, Benny, what episode is this?
22.
Episode 22 of the Real Talk Podcast. It's your host, Joey.
And Thomas.
And if you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, and comment.
Please.
What episode is this again, Ben?
22.
22. That's crazy. 22 episodes.
Yeah, dude.
Benny, another same day edit. How you feeling about that?
You know, just another day.
Just another day, another penny.
Just another day in Benny's world.
There we go. Benny, how you doing? Tell the people how you're doing.
I'm doing good. You know, just chilling.
I like the bright colors today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're feeling vibrant.
Tell. Benny's normally a darker tone.
Yeah, he's a dark tone guy.
I decided to go with the blue hoodie today.
Ooh, you're going to have to show the camera.
Yeah.
Blue hoodie, light jeans.
Get in there. Get
With
into
the runners.
Show them. Show them the kicks.
Yeah, show them the kicks.
Ooh, get some extra B-roll shots of it after. But yeah, TP, crazy. It's Monday.
Yeah, it feels like a good Monday.
Yeah, fresh start, you know.
Fresh start, new perspective.
We're out here.
I was out and about this weekend. Had someone come up. Yo, I love the podcast.
Yeah.
It was my aunt, but
the fam always supports.
fam's always supporting. We're big on family over here.
There we go.
Real talk. We're the real fam.
We're real people. I feel like if you come on the pod, you're part of the fam.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I watched a good movie last night.
What'd you watch?
Ben, what's the movie called?
Benny doesn't even know.
I'm blanking on it right now.
Hey Siri, what's the new Jonah Hill movie? You People?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Oh.
Right. Okay.
Dude, such a good movie.
That shit was fun.
I was laughing my ass
Yeah.
off.
But it was also deep at the same time.
Yeah, it was, but they did such a good job because I feel like a lot of movies get like really deep into like social issues nowadays, and they got deep into it.
But there was
it was from
relief.
a completely different perspective.
We got to get John on the podcast.
Yes. I will say there was one shot that I know they must have had to rush through or do last minute because you saw like they were at like a basketball court in the park, and then all of a sudden like Jonah's talking to Eddie Murphy, but you know they're not really talking to each other, and it cuts to Eddie's face and his whole top head is like feathered, like it's like
Green screened.
Yeah. And in the background there's just one guy standing there like this, not moving at all. And
they had to cut budget for that.
yeah,
for that
my
scene.
cinema eye saw it.
They're like, Eddie Murphy didn't have the budget.
Yeah. Yep.
I think this podcasts are a great way to set the perspective for the week. I think if we start doing one every Monday,
I think it's good. Mondays can be like a rough thing to
most
go
people.
into, to where if you're like going into it like, all right, you know what, like, all right, I'm gonna do this. We're gonna have a podcast, do a little bit of this after. And you know what? Tuesday, I'm going to really be rocking.
Yeah, you're rocking. It's crazy because they walked in, just started doing a bunch of business shit. Like sometimes I wish I could just go in and just start, being creative, going straight to the edit, going straight to, you know what I mean? Just getting into a zone. But
yeah,
I got to be looking up numbers and yada, yada, yada. And shit's just going through my mind, just calculating fucking movements, scheduling, everything. But who do we got on today?
We have on Kimberly Kravitz. She is a talented journalist with hands-on experience in the New York and Philadelphia markets. She has worked in several newsrooms such as WABC, Fox 5, and WWOR, and has built strong relationships with New York and New Jersey political figures, business leaders, and organizations. Her dynamic on-air personality and experience in delivering breaking news and features have made her a sought-after producer and journalist. Not done yet. One of Kimberly's notable achievements is producing over 200 original shows of Jersey Matters, which won her 2 Emmy Awards in 2017 and 2018. Everybody, Kimberly Kravitz.
Woo! What an intro, TV!
Let's
go.
I swear I didn't pay them to say any of that. Oh my goodness.
Nope.
That was so much fun. Your research.
Thank you.
So nice.
We did as a team.
Ashley,
it's a team effort.
Ashley helped out a lot too.
Really? Okay.
She's the brains behind the operations team.
Oh my!
We got some unexpected situation.
Never seen it before.
Oh my
I
goodness.
love it. It makes for a fun
Yeah,
conversation.
100%.
Awesome. So how is everything?
We'll get right.
Nutty.
Yeah.
Everything's real busy.
Yeah.
I mean, even since since the last time I saw you, things have changed.
Yeah.
I started my own company, and now I'm working with News 12. So it's It's a balancing act, and I'm getting married, so we're putting in that wedding bling.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Too. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Damn, that's crazy. So when we first originally met, for the people that don't know, we did an electric bicycle commercial in the city.
Not my forte, guys. I mean, literally, we were running around Central Park. I think that thing had like 2 speeds. It was like fast and friggin' fast. It was crazy.
I was gonna say those things were flying.
I was.
I was in a basket.
I know. You were like running around. It was so fun, though. That was a cool shoot, though.
Yeah,
that was a crazy day in Central Park for sure.
I know. Before you know it, it'll be like a year from now. It's crazy how time flies.
Yeah, it's
so
insane.
you guys have been doing great. I mean, the space is unbelievable.
Thank you.
I kind of feel like the pattern I'm wearing is like
Goes
another
perfect.
wallpaper.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you.
So how long did you continue doing like modeling after that?
Oh, well, modeling is like, it's kind of like my side gig, but I enjoy, every now and then. But like I said, being a journalist, you're more kind of just, you're doing your job by like researching, producing, writing, like that kind of stuff, reporting.
Did it all start with journalism?
It all started with me asking too many questions when I was in the baby carriage. Like, that's what my parents say. They're like, this girl is just too curious. But yeah, I went to school for all this. So one thing that you may not realize is that people usually, after they graduate, have to go to like East Bumble to get their start. They have to move, uproot themselves from their family, take a job in like a small market, make their mistakes. And I was able to do that here in Jersey with the startup. And I stayed for 7 or 8 years. So it was like, that's quite a run for a first job. And I loved and I'm grateful for every moment. So
wow,
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And how did you get how did you kind of get your start? Did you do this in school, or like how did kind of initially start? Because you said you, as a baby, you were even curious.
I know,
so, like, do you remember like the first thing you kind of like reported, or?
Yes. Well, I'll answer your first question first. So like in school, if you decide you want to go to school for journalism, you can do it in so many ways, right? There's PR, which I didn't go that direction, but there's TV, radio, and print. So I tried out all 3 of those things. I was in clubs. And then what happens is you must get your first internship. That's really the first thing you have to do. So your first internship matters, and those contacts, they stay. You have to build on it's like chicken or the egg. Like, where can you build from?
Yeah.
And so what I did was I started with, we said like WWOR, they're no longer. They were in Secaucus. That was My 9. My 9 in Fox 5 was my first internship. And then from that internship, I was able to go to ABC. And then from there, I got my first full-time job. So it's kind of like you climb up, but you're not starting off by making a lot of money. You're not starting off by having a lot of responsibility either. You have to kind of like prove yourself, work your way up. So like my first story on air wasn't until 2015. So.
And what were you doing as like an intern?
So interns, you have different opportunities. So like you can either focus on your on-air craft. You could be like running and gunning with the photographers and the reporters, which is what I love to do. Or you're kind of doing your research in the back, kind of like what Ashley did with our bio. But it's like you need to start somewhere. But then I think it's all about like that resume at the end is like, this is what I got out of that opportunity. Hire me, like you have to fight for you.
Yeah.
And it's funny how, now I started in 2011 and now we're in 2023. So I'm looking at like all these years where I still feel like I'm a kid in college. Like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. And I feel like as your career just progresses and you get into like different levels, you start feeling like a kid again because you always dreamed of like what that was like.
Yes.
Like when you were a kid,
Yeah. Especially when you're doing things that you would never dream of. Like, being on the red carpet, like I fangirl out, like I'm with, all these people that I grew up listening to and loving and celebrities and politicians. I'm like, what am I doing here? It's like that pinch me moment. And that's where it really is like so rewarding.
Have you always had this like, because it seems like it's a very like step-by-step process that you have to have a pretty positive, proactive mindset about it going into it. Have you always been positive and like?
Lately, not really, because a lot of it has to do with like I'm not talking about the not fun stuff. Like you know how we've had a really nice winter. Let's be honest, we didn't have much snow. But like when I am out there and I'm covering a nor'easter and I'm slipping and sliding in thunderbolt, like those are bad moments. I've also had some stories where I was like corralled into a breaking news crime tape, and crime mothers and people running around with God knows what's on them. Like those are the moments where it's like.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe my parents are watching this on TV where they're like, what is happening during this live shot? Like, it's just never a good thing to never feel completely settled because anything can happen when you're out in the field. I mean, look what happened recently. One of the reporters were were killed out in the field. I mean, you don't know what can happen. It's very unsettling. But that's why I started my own company, because I was able to include my breaking news stuff, but I also do the creative stuff like this. It's not good to have like a mental health situation where you're not sure what your day is going to look like.
Oh, 100%.
Don't you agree?
Oh, the uncertainty is just, it's like, especially like when it comes to like your own life and like the dangers that come with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm fearless. Like, this is not something I'm comfortable with. And sometimes, if you're signing up for work that day, your job is to go to where that story is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What are some of the positive stories that you covered? Is there anything that like stands out to you?
Mainly positive. So I've done, not that this is positive, talking about the heroin crisis like we spoke about earlier, but that was a positive moment of my career to get, 500 people in a live audience to talk about it. Doctors coming out and people whose lives were saved, they've changed for the better, they're sober. Those are very positive stories. Then there's people, I've done a lot of stories with kidney donations, people that saved lives by giving up theirs, It's unbelievable. There's also a lot of nonprofits I work with, like the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore. I spend so much time with them. There's a lot of good in between those bad moments. And my management at News 12 is spectacular. They're all about safety first, right? So we thank them for that.
So do you have, are they just like throwing stories at you that they want you to kind of figure out how you're going to tell the story?
That's a great question. So it's a lot of responsibility on you, but when you come into work for the day, you have an editorial meeting. So you're meeting with, producers and content producers like what you guys are, and people, that are going to be shooting your story. Those are the photographers. And then I have to come up with like a few pitches. So I come out with my A, my B, my C, and they could be strong, but then something might happen that's breaking, and they're like, Kim, you're out the door. So it's kind of like you don't really know what to expect. So that's why I bring like 5 pairs of shoes. I have to bring layers of clothes. Like, I don't know what situation I'm going into. But for those who are listening, like reporters that are, maybe inspired by this, it's a crazy day, So that's kind of how that day goes.
Was there anything, when you started for News 12, was there anything that like caught you off guard, or was something you weren't prepared for? Because I know you were running your own business.
Yes. So I think that I was pretty well prepared, because I had my last job. We sold our station in January of 2022. Okay. So that station, it was called Me TV, got my start in a full-time New Jersey newscast. So we did everything. We went to, the political stuff. We went to the presidential conventions. We did red carpet stuff. So they prepared me. And I was producing there too. So I felt like, I could really be thrown into any situation and kind of find my way. So News 12 has been like very, very cool. They're understanding that people are coming from different places. And I really do feel well equipped with the people I work with.
That's awesome.
Is there anything that you learned from your internships that kind of translates to what you guys, or what you're doing now, like News 12 and like the bigger stations?
What's funny? So much of it works. Like, a lot of it is rollover, but thinking back, it's 2011, things have changed. Like, social media wasn't really a thing then, right? I really don't think it was as big of a deal in 2011. I think people were on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's a different dynamic. People in the field, like just people out there working, maybe are the ones that are the real reporters, because if there's like an accident that happened, it's you guys that are out there tweeting about it where I'm able to find the story. So that's something that's really new. But as far as what has like not changed is the consistency of the ethics of journalism. It's the who, what, when, where, why. It's your deadlines. It's that kind of stuff that still remains.
When they toss a story at you that you might not be as excited about, how do you take that on mentally?
Deep breaths and a lot of water. You're like, all right, like I still have 5 hours left of my shift. It's not really my call to say, no. It's basically like we're on our way.
Yeah.
It's like there have been times, guys, where I had a full story written, ready to go, and it took 4 hours to do. And then I have someone cutting that package for me. So imagine that story gets pivoted and it goes in the garbage. And you have to, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's like, that's the beast, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the cards that you're dealt.
Yes. And it's like, no one's complaining. It is, sometimes things take precedence.
Yeah, and if you have an understanding of that, then it'll come on less harsh than...
Yeah, there's a reason why people quit this field. There's a reason why people don't persevere. There's a reason why they give up. You have to find your way. Like I said, if you are in this business and you're in it to make money at the start, you're really not going to. Like, you're really not going to, especially if you do have to start out in a smaller market. So you have to really love this craft and believe in yourself, because that is how you will become successful.
Is there a specific story you remember that at first you were very like not about it?
Yeah.
And then once you were there and asking the questions, you were...
So, perfect example, about a year ago, I was asked to go out to the Masters.
Oh.
The Masters is, like, for those who don't know, it's a slice of heaven, right? It's in the middle of Georgia. It's Augusta, Georgia. It's like 3 or 4 days of gorgeous golf playing. I'm not a huge sports person, but it was something that I was enticed by, because this is a challenge for me. How am I going to speak to a bunch of golf savants about their favorite thing in the world when I don't know anything about it?
Yep.
So they flew me out, and this wasn't with News 12. This was with a sports company that does like FanDuel and what's the other one, DraftKings.
Yep.
So we went out there and shot a bunch of content, and I was uncomfortable, but I did kind of like, I was like a sponge, and I just like soaked it all up, and I like wore my little golf outfits and just blended in. But it was a really like scary thing to be out like with a group of people I didn't know in a car. Like,
I mean,
you could become friends after 3 days.
I feel like I get that feeling sometimes, like when we're going on a shoot.
At least you know who you're next to. Like, it was literally a chance that I took, so it was a little awkward. But that's like your own company. That's like, it's like, that's what happens. You have to take those jobs to like, to get that opportunity.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
At least it was in beautiful Augusta, Georgia.
Right? It rained like the whole time, but it's okay.
Sure. So like how important do you think like a social media presence is when like people are getting hired by like news stations? Because like Nick the Weatherman, like he's killing it on like TikTok, you know what I mean? Just like a bunch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be as important, but this is the world we're in, right? I mean, there are people that I like emulate that are on TikTok. They're so damn good at it. Like whether they're making recipes or they're making cocktails, like if you're good at it, you're good at it. And honestly, I think that we're seeing, it's not for the better, but we're seeing influencers that don't have college degrees become like real TV personalities. It's the facts. So I don't know if it's wrong or right, but I think it's not terrible for a news station to kind of review the professionalism of your social media. You don't want to take on someone that's, you know, their personal life is not maybe how you want to like, you don't want to put that on television.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, you have to be a little picky.
Yeah, totally. How do you kind of decide like what you post on social media, since you are affiliated with a bunch of these different like networks?
Well, it's funny. I feel like I have like many managers, like even my mom, she's like my momager. She's like, you know, she's the one that's like the one that actually says like, oh, this was a great opportunity, like absolutely should post about it. Or she'll never be like, Kimmy, take that down. Like, that's my mom. My fiance Kyle's also like another manager. He's a full supporter of what I do, and he's the one that would probably be like, let's maybe review what we just posted. But he's never said that to me, because I think I kind of know what I'm doing. But I also have an official manager now that I recently signed with.
Oh, nice.
So he's literally the one that has license to tell me like, this is what we're doing and this is what we're not doing.
How's that?
And I love him.
I was going to say, how's that been, having someone come on? And
I was afraid, you know, because I've never had anyone really like, I've never really had someone tell me like what to do, and I have to be understanding of that. But we have a great relationship. He will be the one to help me through this, though, to get like entertainment work and really do what I love. So,
what do you look for in a good manager?
So that's a great question. It's my first manager that I've ever, you know, signed with. I think you have to go with someone you have open lines of communication with, because you could hit that stop button at any point if it's not working for you. But you also have to trust them, because they're working hard to solicit you and find you work. So those are the two things I know so far.
Are there any like other like news people or journalists that you kind of look up to or replicate like your style of content too?
Absolutely. There are friends of mine that I really look up to. There are people that have jumped from, you know, that small station to, like, even my girlfriend Heather, she just started at News 12 The Bronx. We were at our original station together at MeTV, and she picked up and left and went to Raleigh. And she was, do you know what an MMJ is? Multimedia journalist?
Oh, okay.
Where you're basically your own shooter, producer, editor, and reporter. She did that every day. So that's someone I really emulate. She's younger than me, but she's doing great. Like, I really respect that hustle. And there's a ton. I mean, even like the Good Morning America people, Good Day New York. I love my like extra, you know, Entertainment Tonight stuff. There's some really big players who have made it in this business that I like. I'm just excited to see where I can get. So
that's awesome. Is there like, for people, like, I know some people out there, like, watching the news is like they won't even tune into it. Like, they write off the news. Have you like been talking to someone and like talking about your job, and they're like, oh, like you work for a news network?
I mean, it hasn't happened to my face, but maybe people are like, oh, but I'm not the one coming out to like dinner with friends and being like, oh, this is what's going on in the news, or let's talk my favorite political story. I'm really not into it. But I think that there's a time and a place for it. Mm-hmm. But certainly people are more intrigued by the fact that I'm on the news than turned off by it. Like, I think if you know who I am, it's not, what I do is not who I am, if that makes sense. So I can eliminate the news at any point. Know me and respect me, first. So, but as far as people that are not interested in the news, it's a fact. They will not turn it on. They will turn it off, and they don't want to know.
They don't want to know.
Yeah. Do you think young people also like feel that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an ignorance bliss kind of mentality. I feel
what about like Twitter? Like I feel like the young kids love Twitter.
I just think more so like for me, at the end of the day, like when the news does pop on, or I'm with a friend and the news pops on, it's like breaking story. Like a grandma in Brooklyn was mugged, and then I know a lot of my friends are like, I don't even want to hear, like, I don't want to hear about that, or like, it's more so, I think people younger are looking for like stories that are maybe more uplifting, or like.
You mean like the dead whales?
Yeah.
I mean, how many dead whales have we seen this year?
It's been crazy.
And people all over Twitter and everything, I mean, they blow up about stories like that because it's their Jersey Shore. This can't be happening on their, on their turf, and stuff like that is crazy clickbait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you realize it's like people are just they're finding videos, they're tweeting it out, it's all over, it's going viral.
Yeah, it's just like there's so much now. I mean, most people like I'm 26, but like most people my age are just on their phones like every second they get, and that's just information. Like if you're on Instagram, there's some people that are on Instagram like 5 hours a day.
I know. Think about though what you guys are doing. I mean, your podcast is a version of news. I mean, you're talking about newsworthy topics.
Yeah.
And I think that people, especially in our age bracket, I think they're more apt to listen to people that are just like them.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like a podcast is something that you could see yourself doing?
I love it. I absolutely would love it. I think that it's the most intimate way of speaking. Yeah. It's like there's no barriers. I think it all comes down when it's a informal, sitting on a couch, having a cup of coffee type thing. I love it. Yeah. I would love to do that. I just wish there were more days in a week.
Yeah.
I said, I always say like, I wish I had like another like 2 hours in the day.
Isn't it fun though? Like just to like sit down and have a conversation, get to know someone.
Definitely, especially on like a Monday.
We were literally just talking about it. Like there's nothing like, I mean, this past weekend, like I was getting like praise from one of my family members, like, oh, like you guys are doing such a good job, this and that.
Are.
And like I tell him, like, I don't really like go back and watch like the episodes. It's more so like
we're in the moment. It's in your mind.
Yeah, we're in the moment.
Yes.
So it's like that. Like I'm more so. It allows me to just be focused on each one instead of like, all right, last time I did this, let me do this time.
You probably help each other out. You're probably just like a good balance.
After the first 5 episodes, it was like, okay.
10 maybe.
You get into the groove.
Yeah. But it's there might have been those times where we both looked at each other.
Hey, what do we say next?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it was just learning like, okay, like you can have the whole setup. You can want to do the podcast. You can have things that you want to talk about. But once you hit record and the person's here in front of you, there's like an obligation to have something in your pocket, like information wise.
And it's so unscripted.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like it definitely helps. There's no like negative to it.
Yeah, like you work on your speaking, you build relationships, like you get content, you know what I mean? It's
exactly.
It's all around a great thing.
100%.
I wanted to kind of like go back a little and talk about Jersey Matters and the Emmy Awards and the experience of that.
So Jersey Matters took up years. I mean, we did a great job with that show. It was one of 3 that we produced. The host of the show was Larry Menti. He's a national journalist god. We were so lucky to have him because he's up here and we were a startup. So I was able to learn. He was a great mentor of mine. His wife too was unbelievable. So I produced that show. We worked closely together, but I was also a contributor to that show. So I kind of snuck myself in, which was like kind of cool that they let me. Yeah. That's how I got my feet wet with telling stories. And it was amazing. The first time we were up for an Emmy, It was unbelievably exciting. And we went to the Emmys. I've been a few times now, and I kind of came there not expecting to win, and I did have to kind of go up and give a speech, guys. It was crazy.
Oh my God.
No amount of champagne could have calmed me down. I was like, I can't believe I'm accepting an award. But it was on behalf of our team that put in such great work and consistent work.
How do you feel like the show got recognized to a level of winning an Emmy Award?
So I think it was because New Jersey's like the ugly stepdaughter of news. They don't have anything in New Jersey anymore. It's only Philly stations, only New York, and no one really touches our New Jersey. Ironically, when this station sold, where did I go? News 12, which is the only other place I could think of that has, New Jersey matters kind of content. But I think that people cared because there's a huge deserted place of news. There's no one's touching New Jersey. So I think that's why we really made a name. It was also 8 years of us running and gunning, meeting people at every part of the state, no matter, how south or north. So we definitely made a name for ourselves.
How does that work? Like, how do they go about picking the nominees? Like, is there credentials that they look for?
Yes. So you know how with the Oscars that just happened, when there's a bunch of movies that are submitted, the judges who are on the inside all have an opportunity to watch those movies. And on the inside, they decide who should be up for awards. It's the same thing with the Emmys. So everyone submits their work. Like, let's talk about your podcasts. You're going to have a bank of them, right? And at the end of the year, you could say, what are my top podcast episodes? I'm going to submit those for an Emmy. And that's the same thing that we did. The strongest stuff we submitted, and you basically pay your way to submit to the Emmy, I guess, organization, and then you get the call back saying this is where it's going to be held. It's a Saturday night. Get dressed up. And then you're there having dinner, and then they call you up, and if you win, you're leaving with some gold. So it was so cool.
What was that like, getting up there and having to give
like
a
I
speech?
said, I mean, it was like nuts. I mean, I kind of knew what I would want to say if we won.
Yeah.
And I kind of just went there and won it. But I was so emotional. Like, that's what really, I was just being myself. But the next day, the first time I was at the Emmys, the first time I went was in the middle of, like, Hershey, PA.
Okay.
And my dad and my mom were so sweet to, like, make a night of it. They stayed, dropped me off, and then they had, like, a night out. The next day, I'm in the car with my dad. He picked me up. I have the hardware in the car. He has no idea. And he's like talking to me, and he's just like me. He's like a total emotion. He's like, all right, well, you had a good time though, right?
Yeah.
He thinks I didn't win. He had no clue that we actually won.
Oh, wow.
He almost drove off the road. I'm not even kidding. When he was like, what, you won? Like the Emmys in the car? He's like, why didn't you tell me that? Like, why didn't you start out by telling, it was just such a funny story, because I guess I'm not the type to really be in your face.
Yeah.
I should have probably told my parents, but I didn't want to like spoil it. And when he found out, he was so proud. And now, he's a jeweler, so he always says he wants to make me a pair of earrings for 2 Emmys. So it's sweet though. These are really nice memories, just even as the family.
How was it for the second time around?
Exciting, because it was in New York.
Oh, okay.
So that was like, we were at the Marriott, and it was just with all of the New York folk, which was even more exciting.
Did you have like a different mindset going into it? Like, okay, like there is a possibility we can win this.
Yes, exactly. And I felt a little bit more of that New York City pressure, because New York is the #1 DMA. That's the #1 market. Okay. So if you are here in New York, New Jersey, you're in like the top TV hub. Yeah. And 4 is Philly. So those were the 2 I've worked with. And it was a little less pressure when you were in like the Hershey, PA, than, of course, being in the middle of Manhattan. It was really overwhelming and exciting.
Damn.
Yeah.
Have you always been like comfortable in front of the camera, like speaking and things like that?
Kind of. Even in school, like there was like a public speaking contest, and I was like, yeah, I'm up for this, and I won. It was fun. But I think I'm just sure about what I'm talking about. I'm confident, and I'm not. What you see is what you get. So there's no fabrication here. Do you have any tips for people that are like kind of like nervous in front of the camera, or just getting started, like just talking in front of the camera? I think that you have to tune out the sound of your own voice. You really don't want to be here. Like if it's almost like when you hear a voicemail that you left, like, it's just, you're repulsed by your voice. So try not to listen or take yourself too seriously. Yeah. Have that water next to you, deep breaths, don't take yourself too seriously, and just know your stuff. Like, don't go up there and not know what you're talking about. Whatever the case, if you're doing a presentation, if you're doing a podcast, know your guest, which you do. You just got to do your homework.
Exactly. Like, there's situations where I've always, like, I'm a kind of big into like the UFC and like the fighters and stuff.
It's amazing.
And they talk about how like, oh, I'm deadly scared going in.
Yes.
But my reassurance is the work I put in. He was like, it's
True.
muscle memory. So I can be scared, but I'm still going to know how to fight.
Yep.
So it's like,
it's so true.
Yeah,
it's a great analogy.
It's like that same so like I take that into what we do. Like when we're on set and it gets crazy hectic and you start getting anxious, like it's okay because you still know what you're doing. Like
did you guys also do like radio in school?
No.
You sound like
we had a program. It was called VTN.
Okay.
Viking Television Network. I didn't. We actually had someone on that I went to school with. He worked for Complex.
Okay.
Worked for Complex. And I only did the first year. He went and finished out.
Okay.
And actually the teacher there got him to go to college and like told him like, you can make a living out of this.
Yeah.
So he's doing that, but no, never. I mean, when I was first here, like Joe was the one that would do everything on camera, all like SEO videos, everything.
Well, I wondered only because you're just so good at it. Like you're comfortable with your own voice.
Once you like figure out like the template of which you're like how you want to talk and come across, like there is sort of like with stuff that we do. Yeah. Like introducing yourself, like there's a blueprint you can sort of go about. You learn like what words should be emphasized, when you should be a little bit calmer. Like it's a learning process. But I also watch a lot of content. Like
I think the difference with podcasts too, they're long. So like it's almost like you could, even if you were nervous as a guest or a host, 5-10 minutes in, you're smooth sailing. Yeah. It's almost like your voice becomes very comfortable to the listener, and it's like it takes the onus off of you. I feel like
exactly. Like I feel like the level we're at, like there's times where it's like, oh, if we don't have the right question or like we're not talking about something that people want to hear, you're like, like is it gonna be that intriguing to tune into? To where like I was watching a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about like something they were drinking. Like they just took a sip of it and he's like, oh, what you got there? And they were just talking about that at first.
See?
And it's like neither of them are doing anything in like that world, but it was just like conversation. But it was because they're two well-known people. A lot of people don't care what they're talking about. They're just
it's organic conversation.
Exactly.
And everyone's curious.
Yeah. I think that's it. Like turning this more into organic conversation.
Huge.
Like we'll have Ben tell us sometimes like it sounded too much like an interview.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah. And then we're like, okay, like we're allowed to put input in from our personal lives too.
Exactly.
Like, give examples. Like it just, I think our perspective is like it's turned into like each time it's a new conversation between three people. Like
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great setup you have.
It's crazy.
And then there's always the one person who gets right back on track. So,
I love
it. So tell us, when did you know you wanted to start your own company? And tell us like what the company is and what you guys do.
So what I did was after we sold our station last January, I thought I could just go in and get another full-time job somewhere, sell my soul to TV. But I decided that I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I really loved producing. I love telling stories, but I figured with News 12, especially being okay with me being, kind of on a freelance basis, I work when I can, I was able to start a consulting company. So I was able to talk to young students that are going to school for journalism and help them because it's scary. Like, where do you go from here? Like, they're holding your hand in college. Yeah. So I got out, I decided with Zoom, with COVID, I was able to realize that so many people from across the country, you could chat with online, you could communicate. So why not reach out to students that are really looking for help, and it's kind of like a way to pay it forward. And I was also able in my week to do stuff like this, creative stuff, work as a spokesperson, be out there working as an influencer, kind of doing more of the fun stuff too. So I love what I decided to do. And the company itself doesn't have a name, it's just my name. Yeah, really.
How do you juggle it all?
Just that Time Tree app is great.
What is it?
Time Tree is great. You just have it's a calendar app, and it's there, and you could share it with your partners. It would be great for you guys. And I'm half kidding about that's not how I get through the week. It's hard to balance it, but I'm a real busy bee. I also have a whole other side business where I sell. I have an e-commerce store. So when I'm not on because I'm constantly just talking to people, I can't after a while, and I need a break. Yeah. So I go to my e-commerce where I sell everywhere on all marketplaces, and I buy and ship and sell, and I buy and flip and sell, and it's the most relaxing fun hobby. Wow. It's so fun, guys.
That's so fun.
I love it. And no one knows. Like, I don't talk about it. But I think I decided recently that I'm going to start promoting it on my personal page. People would never think that you could make quick money online.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun
Just flipping
avenue.
things.
So I'm going to do that for sure.
How'd you find that avenue?
So my dad, we're in the jewelry business. I didn't get into it. But he decided years ago to also take the jewelry store and go on eBay. So I never did anything with jewelry, but I thought, you know what? If he's on eBay, why can't I sell whatever I wanted? So I did eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, all that, even Amazon, and I sell everything. So the name of my store is Anything You Need.
Anything.
Wow.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I used to do that all the time, just buying things, flipping it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So obsessed.
Gary V put me on.
Really?
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like going to like garage sales, finding something, flipping stuff. I think it's a fun.
Wait, I feel like I know Gary V.
He's like a big influencer.
Yeah, he owns a
Oh,
Vayner Media?
that's probably
Yeah.
why I know him. Okay, yeah. I thought it was
Morgan
someone
guy?
local that
Oh,
was Gary
yeah.
V. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. And if you're out there, like on TikTok especially, the way people are giving like these tips and tricks about how to sell online, I am completely fascinated.
I was gonna say they pop up on my phone all the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
And people are hoarders. Like if you looked around your house, you could sell like half the stuff in there.
100%.
And it's hard to balance that with my real job.
Yeah.
But I like it because it decompresses me. It's like, it's just my chill time.
Do you ever go to Costco and like scan the barcodes and like do like that Amazon FBA thing where
I really should because
You know
I'm
what I
in
mean?
Costco and I'm like, I'm there to like buy stuff for the house, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I could sell 100
at all these
razors.
things.
I'm only kidding. But I've not been there yet where I'm like, I can't even wrap my head around
Yeah.
Costco because I'll be there like
Oh.
twice a week. Then.
That'd be nuts.
The place is funny.
Rapid fire?
Rapid fire.
All right. So
Oh.
we do this section on our podcast.
Sip
where
of water.
Yeah, we give you rapid fire questions if you want to answer it in like a sentence or less.
Cool.
Yeah.
Favorite place you've traveled?
Italy.
Your favorite store you covered?
The VMAs. The VMAs. Video Music Awards.
Dream story to cover. Or not maybe dream, or just one that pops into mind of one you'd want to.
So I'd love to do something on what I was just explaining. I want to do a flip thing. That's I would love to pitch that into a show. So I think that'd be like my favorite story because I definitely want to make it into a show one day.
Dream collaboration.
Bethany Frankel's awesome. I think we have a lot in common. She's a cool Jewish girl, and she's really savvy. I like her. I would love to collab with Bethany Frankel. And we drink. It'd be fun. She's like Skinny Girl Margarita. I love that.
Favorite movie?
The one that makes me laugh every time is Dumb and Dumber. That's like a go-to, but it's not my favorite movie. But that's a gold movie for me.
Hidden talent.
I cook really well.
Ooh, best dish.
You guys are really good at this. I like making pasta puttanesca.
Ooh, what is that?
Yeah.
So it's are we able to understand? Okay.
Explain, yeah.
So it's spicy red sauce with olives, anchovies, garlic, and onion. I love it. It's simple pasta, but delicious, and it's a great Italian dish. Like it's straight out of Italy.
I was gonna say, actually, when you were explaining it, I feel like I've had that before.
Really? Yeah. It's just delicious, spicy, simple, delicious red sauce.
You're from Freehold, right?
No, I'm originally from Old Bridge.
Old Bridge.
Family's from Staten Island,
Oh.
Brooklyn. They had me here in Jersey.
Best pizza place in Old Bridge.
The best pizza place around here in Jersey, I like Danino's Clam Pie a lot.
Ooh.
And I like Scala's Pizza. They're in Long Branch, West End.
Yeah.
But Old Bridge, I don't think that they have like the best pizza. Or they have Crispy though. They're pretty good.
Crispy's good.
Crispy's
What did Jamie say? Jamie said, I think Jamie might have said
A bunch of the pizza places I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
'Cause
those are
I'm-
like three because
Yeah.
Old Bridge is the one you asked. So I had to
Yeah.
include. But Crispy's good in Old Bridge.
Yeah. Me growing up, it was L&B Smony Gardens.
Good
Oh.
stuff. I wasn't floored by it. I wasn't
Yeah, a lot
floored
of people aren't. For me, I grew up on it. So
Yes!
it's just like something.
Is that the square pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's actually a place in Jersey, I want to say, that apparently does it better.
Okay, I gotta find it out. I want to know.
It was on a show I was watching.
Okay,
Look good.
I would try every pizza shop out there. Like I would have no issue being like the Barstool review guy. Like, I think that's an amazing job.
That's a good reporter.
Yeah.
What's a piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
It gets better. Growing up's really tough. I hated high school. I hated who I was in high school. My confidence wasn't there. I feel like I know myself more, and it does get better. Life's good.
What would you tell someone who's lost within themselves?
Oh, it's terrible. Call me. We'll talk. I'll make you drink. When someone's lost, it's hard to have guidance. It's hard to find your way. My advice is it gets better.
Do you feel like it's important to have it's not really rapid fire, but important to have a mentor?
Yes. I think one of my mentors is my younger sister. She's 2.5 years younger than me, but yet she's like my older sibling. She's someone I look up to. She keeps me so grounded. She's a big motivator because she's like a successful businesswoman. She runs her whole, she's a dietitian. She has her practice. Someone like her is a great mentor because we're women and we stick together, and it's together we get so much. We're great together, great team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's one key lesson that you're teaching like your students that you're consulting for?
So they have to take it seriously, and like these internships you're not getting paid for. You're getting underpaid and overworked. So my lesson is that if you're going to do it, show up on time, work hard, let them make sure they remember your name, because those contacts are going to help you get to where you need to go next. So that's my
piece of advice you would give your older self.
Soak in the moment, take it all in, don't rush.
And where can the people find out more about you?
So I would say that reaching out to me by email is fine, but follow me at Kimberly Kravitz TV. That's Instagram. You could direct message me there. I also have like a fun beauty blog lifestyle where I make cocktails. Like literally, you should follow me there too. That's at Be Barely Beautiful. BE Barely Beautiful. It's kind of like a woman just being herself, inner beauty, all about it, women empowerment, and I put all my recipes on there and my favorite cocktails and some life hacks.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It is, and it's not just for women. It's all there.
Benny loves the drinks.
Oh yeah.
I should have made us. Maybe next time I'm here, I'll make you guys like some pear martinis. That's what I've been making lately.
That's actually something I wanted to start
or like
doing
a
with
stiff
like some
Manhattan.
of our, like something to start doing with some of our episodes. Like
Start drinking in the middle of the day.
just like interact.
Pear martini sounds pretty good right now.
Like when you
We
watch like
should.
the Tonight Show or like something, like they'll be like, we have this chef on tonight. We're gonna cook this, and it's kind of like
It would
like
be a ball.
segment.
They say I'm really heavy-handed. I'm making drinks for our friends all the time, and I'm like, I love making different like mixology creations and making them pretty. Like it's a fun way to bond, and people get to really know you that way because you'll be making them drinks, and you get to learn about them real quick.
Yeah, I was a bartender back in the day.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I wish I had time to do like that. I would love to.
I bartended at a Indian restaurant. So,
I love Indian food. Where?
Yeah, it's called Rasoi.
Is it still around?
Yeah, there's 3 locations. The one I
Okay,
worked at.
offline,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to tell me where I can go.
Definitely.
Sounds great.
And a quote to close us out to that camera.
Live in Middlesex County, Kimberly Kravitz, News 12, New Jersey.
Oh, that's that's awesome.
Kimberly Kravitz, everybody.
Thank you.
That was perfect.
Thank you. So much
And then,
fun.